Hey everybody, Michael Noland here. Welcome to the channel. Tonight I want to present 3 DVDs that I believe are absolutely must-haves when it comes to live rock performances. That, of course, is Led Zeppelin's 2003 DVD, simply entitled Led Zeppelin, along with the Moody Blues live at Red Rocks. And of course, the third and my very favorite of all live performance movies, Pink Floyd live at Pompei. Now, as you know, at the end of my videos, I always give a shout out to new subscribers. And when we get to that portion of the video, I'm gonna give you a 4th bonus DVD for consideration. Now, it's not my intention here tonight to say these are the 3 greatest live DVDs or movies ever made in rock history. That's not what I'm going for here tonight at all. But also, I want it clearly understood. I'll compare these DVDs with the greatest of them all any day. And yes, I'm talking about Woodstock, the Monterey Pop Festival, or what about The Last Waltz, directed by a young Martin Scorsese, I might add. This wonderful film covers the farewell concert to the band. And to be honest, either Woodstock or this DVD, Monterey Pop Festival, would be on a lot of people's lists, I'm sure. Okay, so I think the first DVD I'm going to cover tonight is the 2003 release of Led Zeppelin's DVD, simply entitled Led Zeppelin. Now, of course, this is a 2 DVD collection, and the first DVD basically covers their live Royal Albert Hall performance in 1970. Now, in the second DVD, you get more of a video of the Immigrant Song, which is a mixture of them playing live. I can't remember, was that some of their Florida concerts? I'm not sure. Very shaky camera work, and for posterity's sake, I'm glad it's there. And then it goes to their 1973 Madison Square Garden performance on some choice cuts on that. And then we are transported 2 years later, 1975, Earl's Court, and finally, even 4 years later than that, at Nebworth. You know, if you are a Led Zeppelin fan, you've got to have this. I highly recommend this DVD. And I'll tell you, that's another thing I love about Led Zeppelin. You know, it seems historically that every 3 to 5 years, a whole new group of 15 and 16-year-old, and not just boys, but girls as well, rediscover for themselves Led Zeppelin. Okay, so this is my wild card offering for the night. I'm not really sure how many of you out there are Moody Blues fans. I consider the Moody Blues at least a candidate for that Olympian level rock band that I've talked about in the past. Now, this DVD covers the band's performance live at Red Rocks. It's a wonderful natural amphitheater, no doubt. But this is the Moody Blues 1992 performance. Now, of course, by this time, Mike Pender had long retired from the Moody Blues, and really no longer a full 5-piece band. They were down to 4 of their original members at this point. So rather than emulating an orchestra as they often did live with Mike's keyboards, right? This time they perform with a full-born orchestra. Now, for their 1960s studio albums, they regularly employed an orchestra and put orchestra on the basic band tracks. Now, what I always loved about this band is on their albums, you not only got a very English sound, I can only compare them to Jethro Tull for that traditional English sound, even though the 2 bands sound nothing alike. But they actually had the audacity to add poetry in between their song tracks. And that very artistic approach to their music I love. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, Michael, that's all right, but I'm not a Moody Blues fan. I'm more into heavy rock, whatever, nah. All I can say is watch this DVD. Beg, borrow, don't steal. a copy of this and give it a look. I think their performance is marvelous. They are enjoying being there, and the sound is just great. Okay, so that leads us to our third DVD, Pink Floyd Live at Pompei. Now, the whole film is based on 4 days of recording the band live at Pompei inside an ancient Roman amphitheater. Now, of course, that original 4-day recording was recorded in October of 1971. It would be in 1972 that the director released the film as just a performance piece and was a bit unhappy with the final product. Meeting with a member of the band, he suggested that he film the band at Abbey Road Studios, supposedly working on their latest album, Dark Side of the Moon. He felt that this included footage would make the film appear to be more up to date. With a bit more additional interview footage, the film was complete. Now, by the time it was released in 1974 here in the United States, and to some critics already appeared dated just because the film included material prior to Dark Side of the Moon. But I gotta tell you, this film represents Pink Floyd in a way that no other performance footage quite does. Some of the material included in this performance is the band's echoes, careful with that axe, Eugene, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun, as well as more familiar material for your casual fans, such as Brain Damage, Us and Them, and One of These Days. And that's one of the reasons I really love this film. It represents Pink Floyd performing material that represent the band's output from an earlier incarnation, as well as the more current material that fans were fastly becoming aware of with the release of Dark Side of the Moon. Of course, visually, the film is stunning, and the camera work, especially the camera work done on the 4-day recording, a recording that was recorded on 8-track, if you can believe that. The panning camera work, particularly at the start of the film, works exceptionally well. Extreme slow panning of the band as they perform at the beginning of the film is just absolutely wonderful. And in the end, the film becomes something more than what we got with Let It Be by the Beatles. This was not just a documentary of the band. Although it has that documentary kind of feel, this film is much more cinematic than what we got with the Beatles' Let It Be, even though both of these films were basically released as rock documentaries. Of course, my copy includes the original theatrical release as well as a new director's release. And I've got to tell you, I'll take the original theatrical release. The director's release is just a little bit too artsy for me, but I'll tell you one thing, take a look at it. It's worth at least one view, but the theatrical release is perfect in my opinion. And you know, I really have to say this, out of all the so-called rock documentary type of films that were released and so popular during this time, this is my very favorite. The music is wonderful, the band looks great, and if you're a Pink Floyd fan, this film is an essential watch. All right, so there's 3 must-have live rock performance DVDs for your consideration. You know, I want to thank everybody for watching the video tonight. All our new subscribers, of course, they'll be presented down here as I continue talking to you here at the end. But I did want to take this opportunity to give you one bonus DVD for consideration. Now, the reason I kept this DVD separate in the video tonight instead of just showing you 4 videos for your consideration is that it's a newer band in rock history, my favorite band really of the 90s, and that of course is Alice in Chains. And this of course is their MTV Unplugged performance. Now, I first became aware of Alice in Chains when I heard Man in a Box on that first album. I loved it, but I couldn't believe how much this band would change over the next couple of years. Their explorations into the heavier aspects and overtones of the acoustic guitar are wonderful. A sound that, to me, if I was to give it a genre name, would be heavy metal acoustic. Now, I always loved this subgenre, but I've always been more interested in bands who like to play with the instrumentation, do something a little bit more stripped down, and especially if they do it artistically and they come up with a new sound, that's gold in my book. And the band's performance on this DVD is absolutely stunning. Okay, so that about wraps up the video. My video on Led Zeppelin, the very first album, is coming up. A big thank you to all of our viewers, of course. This is The Bottom Line, Michael Noland, and we'll see you in the next video.